It's the only OR in all talk radio. I'm Dr. Dave Janda, broadcasting from our ancillary bunker, currently terminating Freedom Bunker in the People's Republic of Ann Arbor. We're here for you every Sunday afternoon and have been for the past 15 years without fail. But our content, our show, our efforts, our education, our empowerment of you, our listening audience and viewing audience, does not start and stop on Sunday afternoons. We are available 24/7 at davejanda.com. A tremendous amount of free public information. We have the most unique news ticker on the internet. Our IT team has devised an exclusive ticker for davejanda.com and Operation Freedom that anybody can utilize. Headlines you will not see in the bought off lamestream fake media. When you go to Dave Janda, you'll see it scrolling by. And if you touch on a particular topic on that ticker, it's going to take you to some background on what's being presented. Just another added bonus at davejanda.com. Now, we also have our subscription service, which is content I cannot discuss on the radio because of the FCC, cannot discuss on social media platforms like YouTube, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, Facebook, or on Rumble. 30 cents a day, $9 a month for content that puts you years ahead of the curve. It's gleaned from information I obtain during the week, every week, 52 weeks out of the year, from my sources that I've developed over the past 37 years, not just in our government, but in governments around the world, and information the deep state does not want you to know about. You see, folks, every week in our operating room, we dissect current events that are impacting you, your family, your business, our community, and our country. And we bring to our operating room information and guests the bought off lamestream fake media either ignores because it doesn't fit in their preconceived, politically correct, bought off agenda, or because, folks, they're petrified. They are petrified of what might happen if they actually tell you what you need to know. This show is about your freedom. Your political, your economic, your financial, and your health care freedom. It is extremely important that we continue to keep your financial and economic freedom on the front burner. And the reason is because the deep state, the criminal banking syndicate, whatever you want to call it, is focusing their efforts in bringing down the worldwide financial system. Yeah, that's what they're up to. Now, I know you're not going to hear it in the bought off lamestream fake media or in the Wall Street Journal or Barron's or you name it. But it's what's happening. If you don't believe me, your trip to the grocery store 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, I would imagine is drastically different when you get to the cash register as it is today. That's not an accident. It's not a coincidence. It's not from mismanagement. It's not from incompetence. It's all part of the plan. What did Lenin say? The way to bring down capitalism is, well, with taxation and with inflation. Okay, folks, that's what we're dealing with. And unfortunately, the vast majority of the public in our country and around the world doesn't quite get it. No, they don't get it at all. I was being kind. They don't get it at all. Which is why my first guest is so important, because she and the folks in her company, and I'm not an overstatement, put their lives on the line for creating a lifeboat for you in this deep state sea of financial chaos, which is only going to become more turbulent in the weeks and months ahead. For those of you not familiar with Adriana Reed, she has been with the Camino Company, CaminoCompany.com, since 2011 as a trader. She is now one of the principals in the Camino Company and is one, if not the most honest and knowledgeable person in the precious metals arena. Folks, vapor is not going to protect you. And when I say vapor, you know what I mean. If you've listened to this show more than a week, you know what I mean. Yeah, I know. It's the stuff that I guess the best way to call it is crypto crap. No, it's not going to protect you. No, no, it's not going to protect you. Paper assets are not going to protect you. Just watch what the syndicate is doing for itself to protect itself. Sovereign wealth funds, central banks, governments around the world are accumulating what? Precious metals, which is why they're discouraging you not to do it and buy crap because they don't want you protected, which is why they target folks like Adriana Reed, the Camino Company, myself, and a number of our other guests. It's my privilege, pleasure, and honor to welcome back Adriana Reed. Adriana, welcome back to the Operation Freedom Show and platform.
Thanks for having me again, Dave.
So, Adriana, did I just overstate the situation in the financial world?
No, absolutely not.
So, we're now told, one of the things I do, so our listeners and viewers don't have to, is I monitor throughout the week the bought off lamestream fake media to see what their propaganda is. And they keep telling us, keep buying those paper assets, keep buying that crypto garbage, this is the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time they mention precious metals, like if you watch Fox Business News, Stuart Varney, who seems like a nice guy, but is obviously a globalist based on he'll tell you about paper assets and talk about cryptos till the cows come home. But the only time he mentions gold and silver is if it's down on the day, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. So a couple of pieces of information they don't want to tell you. Our national debt is now up to, not including unfunded liabilities and mandates, $38 trillion. You add the unfunded mandates, we're up to over $200 trillion. Job cuts this past month hit the highest level for the month in the past 22 years. Rising delinquencies in auto, credit card, and student and household debt climbed to a record in just the past quarter to $18.4 trillion. And I heard from a freight analyst, trucking freight, this week. Freight spot rates are cooling off as we move into the Thanksgiving week. This is from Craig Fuller. This is not normal. Spot rates usually go up significantly as we head into a major holiday, and this is consistent with a huge slowdown in the economy. From a separate freight analyst, I was told, freight is in the midst of an epic collapse. The Cass shipment index is flashing one of the starkest warning signals yet. It has now plunged to levels last seen in the depths of the great financial crisis in 2008, 2009. Okay, Adriana, take it. What are you seeing? And then we're going to talk about what people need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, unfortunately, all those statistics are incredibly spot on. And I think the issue that we're running into is just you have a very elitist population who is highly unaffected by inflation because their net worth is so high that grocery store prices don't affect them. Their, car payments, everything from gas to house payments, all these different things. And this is probably some of the worst suffering I've seen Americans have in a really long time, where we're seeing healthcare prices are going up. Everything's going up, and not coming down by any means for the American people. And the issue that you run into with something like this is they start to turn towards credit cards because they don't have the funds right then, and we can let it sit on the credit card and hope that we make monthly payments on it. Around here, too, even in California and across the country, we're also seeing foreclosures are starting to rise where people are missing enough payments that they can't even hold on to their houses. And, like you said at the beginning, whether it's not necessarily that anybody's to blame for this, but there are people who are managing this, who are creating this scenario that we're in, and that's the issue that we run into. So the key is to be in preparation mode right now, and to continue to prepare for what it looks like, as things, in my personal opinion, are unfortunately going to get a lot worse, before they get better. And that's just the story that it's kind of telling us right now with the economy and the facts.
Well, let's add a little more fuel to the fire. I got word that late this past week, the New York Fed, the
Mm-hmm.
banksters, right? They held an emergency meeting with the largest Wall Street banks to discuss the fact that they are having, let's put it, concerns with money market liquidity issues. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is very similar to what immediately preceded the great financial crisis in 2007, 2008, 2009, and 2010. I mean, Adriana, look, I'm not trying to push fear porn. I just need to push facts and data and truth. And my concern is we are very close to going over the waterfall. And unfortunately, not enough people are protected. Is my
No.
fear unjustified?
No, not at all. And so here's the thing too with the issue of liquidity, and also is something else that we need to look at is the debt that the banks are taking on right now have no resiliency. So especially 2008, they were able to take people's homes and they had collateral damage in essence. And there's things that came with that in 2008 that really exacerbated an issue that, in my opinion, will be 10 times worse because of the accumulation of debt that we've had since the 2008 era. And as we move forward, we keep accumulating debt. And as much as there's attempts to, quote, bring in revenue or do something of that sort, the debt is at a point where it's just too far gone. And unfortunately, we're under dire circumstances for the American people and what the dollar looks like. And so right now, like I said, with preparation, buying precious metals is I genuinely feel like a lifesaver for your family, so that you don't miss the mortgage payment, so that you don't have your dollars just completely deplete, so that you can turn in a coin or two when you need it, for value purposes. And this is something that you can hold on to, that as we've seen over the past, couple of years here, and all the way back to 2020 when the, pandemic had started, was we're genuinely seeing them take control over us in every aspect of our lives. And this is your ability to create freedom and not be handcuffed to the system. That's what I want to set everybody up for.
So let's speak about where we are right now, right? So many people are aware that gold and silver are up significantly.
Mm-hmm.
The best performing assets this year in the world, right? And of late, people say, "Oh, they're hitting new highs." Oh, wait a minute, there was a big sell-off. Oh, wait, it's hitting new highs again. Oh, for example, this past week, it was bumping up on new highs again in the gold, in particular silver, but gold was moving up.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, it was moving up on Thursday, and kaboom, they came in with their fraudulent, unbacked paper contracts, derivatives,
Yep.
drove it down, and then drove it down further on Friday. I was talking to somebody, if you will, in the data analyst world, and he said, "Well, Dave, the reason why they're doing this is because not that they're trying to show how powerful they are." And I'd like your take on this, Adriana. What this person told me is, Dave, they're desperate and they're panicked and they're about to be obliterated because of their fraudulent, unbacked paper contracts. And they're trying to get as many people out of precious metals, have them sell physical precious metals, so that they can accumulate those metals because they know what's coming.
Yeah.
What's your take on what I was told?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I hope people realize that this is us versus them. It's not, as many as there's the division that's happening in this country is until we wake up and realize that they're creating this scenario so that they can win. And when they can accumulate precious metals and we're left out to dry because we have nothing, and they tell you to go into crypto, to go into paper assets, to do all of these things, it seems like they're genuinely leading you, but they're misleading you so that you become the victim of the scenario. And then they can have control over every aspect of your life, like I said, because this is more about control than it is about anything else. And the ability to control the American people, including the middle class and those that are falling below the middle class. And they want you coming to the government for help. They want you to have to do exactly what they say in order to get your next meal. And they want you to have to, be questioned at the banks when you want to take money out for yourself. They want to be able to shut your account down when it says, hey, we heard what you were thinking about and what you've been telling people, and they want that control. And one of the easiest ways to get control of people is through your finances, because desperation will kick in much more rapidly when you can't feed your family. And so by them taking the ability to buy precious metals, is they're taking control out of your hands, and you can't control yourself anymore, and they want to control you. And so they're setting everybody up for failure because they know what's down the line. And there's only a few people that will be genuinely honest with you about what's truly going on behind the scenes. And that's where we're trying to set you up to make sure that you are prepared for down the line, as they stuff paper contracts down your throat and say the dollar is going to be just fine. We'll balance the books. Liquidity is going to be fine. The stock market's going to be fine. Cryptos are going to be fine. Buy into this system, buy into this system. When you have to realize that the systems that you buy into when they tell you to buy in are only going to make them richer and will potentially put you at high risk.
So, Adriana, this past week, roller coaster, big highs, dropping down lower, big highs, dropping down lower. Mm-hmm. Okay. Did the general public panic this week? What were you seeing on the ground? Because you run a very busy business.
Yeah.
And you see not just what's happening in California where you're based, but you have clients all over the country. What were you seeing? Were people buying? Were they selling? Were they panicking? What were they doing?
I would say I probably saw more people buying with the dip that we had, which was good to see. As you and I have these conversations quite a bit, buying the dip especially is a great opportunity to get into precious metals. I would say we did have some people who sold, but not anywhere near a significant number of sellers, I would say, who were making any drastic purchases or sales. It was pretty even for the most part, with a lot of people saying, okay, the markets are down. Let me step in a little bit. One of the things that I also encourage a lot of people who buy from us is to not go with the drastic move where you go all in on precious metals or you go all in on selling at one time. One of the best things to do is when you do see little dips like what happened this past week is take an opportunity to buy as much as you're capable of in an increment and buy a little bit each time every month. And it adds up significantly over time. And, Dave, you can even vouch from your purchases that you've bought over time and accumulated over time. And you can set your family up in a very good position without an over-exaggerated purchase.
And where are we with supply, with physical gold, physical silver? In our final 5-6 minutes here today, take our listeners through purchasing gold and silver, and if they do want to sell, that process, which is essentially the reverse. Take us through that.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now you can just give us a call at 650-348-3000, or you can call us on our 800 number at 800-348-8001. Just call up one of the traders. We're open 8:30 to 4 o'clock, and we will be there to help you. We'll go over what your purchase capability is. We'll go over the best items for you as far as gold, silver, making sure you're prepared for the worst potential possible, and then we hope for the best and, set you up for a positive investment as well. And then we'll ship some metals out to you after we get payment. We hold all checks for 5 business days. Wires are 48 hours. Some delays on shipments just to us being so busy. that we'll see. Just sometimes it takes us a little bit longer time for a couple days to get shipments out to everybody, but moving as quickly as possible with all the numbers that we have. You can also visit us at www.caminocompany.com, and you can make an online live purchase. We're open 24/7, so that's always open to everybody for purchasing power. Right now, more than ever, we're starting to see premiums start to climb again, which is, pretty normal considering the circumstances. I tell people that gold and silver is the truth teller of the economy. When it starts to rise in value, and also when the premiums start to rise, it can tell you 100% what the rest of the world's doing and what everybody's preparing for. And so we are seeing an increase in the premiums as we speak. So like I said, don't wait to make the purchase. Just buy a little bit at a time if that's what you're capable of, and dive in just a little bit so that you feel a little bit better about, what's to come down the line in preparation for how our economy is going to play out and how the rest of the world is going to also play out with some things that you and I have seen potentially coming down the line.
And Adriana, you mentioned your business hours, 8:30 to 4, right?
Yes.
That's Pacific time.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Now, I got a couple emails this week, and they said, why is it when I go to some other sites, precious metal sites, and then I go to Camino site, why is Camino, it seems like their premiums on gold and silver are in some cases significantly less, and in all cases less than some of these other sites I'm visiting?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Here's the reason being is, America, in my opinion, has lost its way, even when it pertains to capitalism. Is that, growing up, I was always raised to be a capitalist, which I think is a very positive way to be, and everyone should be raised as capitalists, in my opinion. But I was always taught about the morality of capitalism, is that I want to do the best I possibly can in my life. I want to provide for my family, but at the same time, there is a morality of us wanting to help people and not screw people. And I, unfortunately, this past week have seen some detriment that a couple companies have played on people that have come to me, unfortunately, later than we were able to help them earlier in the scenario that they were put in. And, I sleep at night, and I know that I'm a godly person. And so I just, our company runs and functions for the people. And I believe in capitalism, but moral capitalism, Dave.
And Adriana, I got a couple other emails this week, and folks said, well, I talked to my financial advisor, and they said I cannot put physical precious metals in my IRA. I had to stick with paper-based like mining company stock or ETFs.
Yeah.
Final minute.
Yeah.
Was that accurate information they were given?
No, that's absolutely not true. So go ahead and give me a call, and I'll help you walk you through the process to make sure you get physical assets. Especially now more than ever, I do not believe that we're in a safe space with paper contracts by any means. I do have a gut feeling that something's down the line that has to do with the paper contracts and stocks and all these different things. And so having physical assets right now it's more essential than it probably in the entire history of the United States since its beginning.